Today I'm going to be sharing my 2024 reading year review. I want to share my statistics for the books I read and also show you every single book that I read because I haven't done any reading wrap-ups in 2024. Starting off with the statistics for 2024. I got this information from Goodreads, so I don't know how accurate it is. I've read a total of 45 books and almost 1500 pages. No, 15,000 pages. That's good. My average rating was 3.7, which is not the best, honestly. I would love to have a higher average rating, but since I read 45 books, it's normal that it's not that high. And then for average book length, 327 pages. My reading year overview. As you can see, I didn't read any books on April for some reason. I mean, I did read books on April, I just didn't finish any book. And then on February, I only read one book, but it was amazing. It was a 5 stars, so that's great. On October, I tend to read a lot of books, but not every single one of them is like a great read. I started off the year strong with a lot of books in January, and then as well in June. I was extremely sick during July and August, so I have no idea how I was able to read 4 books each month. The ratings, I have 10 books that are 5 stars, which I think is pretty great because I only have 11 books that are 3 stars. So I think the comparison is pretty great. 17 books which were 4 stars. I think it's a great average. 2 books are 1 star, which are Lolita and The Perfume. And then 5 books that were 2 stars. I actually hate having 2 stars because it's like you're not bad enough that I will remember you, but you're not good enough that I will remember you. But with 2 stars, I tend to forget them. So I feel bad for those books. Then for the books, I read mostly fiction. This surprises me honestly because I tend to read half fiction, half non-fiction. I really like non-fiction. I guess this year I just didn't want to read any non-fiction. For the genres read, this one is kind of messy because when it comes to classics, as you can see, it's the second genre most read, but at the same time it's kind of fake because I never know how to categorize a classic. It's a horror classic, but should I categorize it in horror or in classic? In this case, I did a mix of everything. Take it with a grain of salt, I guess. As you can see, I read a lot of romance lately, which I'm loving. Mystery and thriller has quickly declined on my most read genres because I cannot find a good mystery and thriller to save my life. And then I mostly read adult books and also the middle grade books I read I absolutely adored. I started rereading some of my childhood favorite books and it has been so wholesome and so healing in some way. And then for the languages reading, I'm extremely happy that I read a lot of books in Spanish, which I don't know why that surprises me so much because I'm Spanish. I should read more books in my language. Also in Catalan, I keep saying this. I actually need to read at least 1 book in Catalan in 2025. For translations, I read 15 translated books. As you can see, I read 5 books that were originally written in English and I read them in Spanish. This is because if the Spanish Kindle version is cheaper than the English Kindle version, I do not care if the original language is in English, I will read in Spanish. It's just, if it's cheaper in Spanish, I will buy in Spanish. But I do not think I've ever bought a book originally written in English, in Spanish, and bought it in English. I don't think I would ever do that. I don't know, maybe. So far I haven't done it. That year published, I read a lot of new releases, which I love because I never used to read new releases and now thankfully I'm getting used to reading more new releases. And then I read a lot of books between 2011 and 2019, which I'm not complaining, that's great. And apparently I read a lot of books published in 2022 for some reason, and then 19th century and 20th century with my classics and modern classics. Let's continue with the books that I read. For mythology, I really liked every single one of these books. La Leyenda de las Marias Mansas follows 2 characters in Greek mythology. Electra is the second book that I read by Jennifer Saint. And then Galatea, it's a novella that Madre Miller wrote. It's honestly very sad, it's a great read. So for essays, I have Variaciones sobre Budapest book because I went to Budapest at the beginning of 2025. The 1st of January, I got on a plane and I went to Budapest. It was extremely cold, but it was extremely fun. I literally bought my plane ticket to go to Budapest, and that next day I went to a bookstore and I saw this book. It was fate. I believe in fate and I think this was fate. And then for the White Album by Joan Didion, I did not like it. I mean, I didn't hate it. I just think I would have loved this book when I was 17, 18. But now as a 26-year-old, I feel like I'm too cynic for these kind of books, which sucks. I'm just being realistic here. Period. I only read the first 2 books. I'm currently reading the 3rd book. Absolutely amazing, 5 stars. History, Los Errores de Historia. It's a book which talks about different errors in history, like the sinking of the Titanic, or when George Orwell started narrating the end of the world for a lot of people on the radio and people freaked out. There's a lot of different topics and I really liked it. Biographies and memoirs. I absolutely adored the 3rd Gilmore Girl. Kelly Bishop could do no wrong in my eyes. She was so raw and honest with everything that she wrote. And then Down the Drain by Julia Fox is wild. Like, this girl has lived 1,000 lives in just 30 years. The Diary of a Young Girl. I decided to reread The Diary of a Young Girl when I came back from Poland. I first read this book when I was pretty young, around the same age as Anne when she wrote her diary, and I decided to reread it as an adult after I visited Auschwitz and Birkenau when I went to Poland. War is wild. For historical fiction, The Fountains of Silence by Ruta Sepetys is one of my all-time favorite historical fiction novels. Absolutely amazing. The Marriage Portrait by Miguel Farrell. I didn't hate it, it's just that it was very slow. For graphic novels, I read Gallic and the Vampire. It was so cute. For poetry, I have The Selected Poems by Lord Byron. After reading Romantic Outlaws by Charlotte Gordon, an entire universe opened up to me about the Romanticism period, and I haven't looked back ever since. I just love the Romantic period. I think it's so rich in culture and just it has so much to offer. Also, I saw this portrait on London when I went there. I went to a random museum and when I saw the portrait, I was so happy. Practical Magic. Amazing as well. I'm so happy that I'm realizing that I've read so many good books this year. This book is such a summer book, which surprises me. I thought it was going to be a very autumnal book, but no. I would say this book is magical realism because there's not one time in the book where they mention magic and witches. They never talk about it. They just talk about magic like it's normal, like free thing. So they never talk about witches. They never talk about like witchy potions or witchy rituals. They just do things that are witch-like and they just integrate it into their daily life. This is the 4th book in the Windy City series, which is amazing. I love that series so much. This wasn't my favorite. My favorite is still the 2nd book. It was great. It was a fun time. So Bright You, I loved the risk and the play. I did not mind the chase until I read the play and I saw how shitty Pitts and Summer were to Hunter, and then the other, I didn't like it. The risk and the play, I've read them I think like 3 times in 2024. Better Than the Prom is a novella for this duology. Absolutely adored Better Than the Movies. I don't tend to read rom-coms, especially YA rom-coms, but with this one, it just had something that really captivated me. I read it in one day. I took a train from Barcelona to Alicante. It's like a 5.5 train ride and I just couldn't stop reading the book. It was amazing. Nothing like the movies. It didn't have the special spark that Better Than the Movies had. But still, if you really like the story, I think you will like it. That Chestnut Springs series, Heartless and Reckless, I love them. Flawless was really fun. Powerless, I did not like it. And Hopeless, it was okay. The Maxton Hall series, I saw the TV series of Maxton Hall. That's why I read these 3 books, because I needed to know how it continues, and I felt like a teenager again reading Wattpad. It was amazing. It was an amazing time. For modern classics, I didn't love any of these. I liked 1948. I think it was an amazing dystopian book. For Halloween Tree, I wanted to read it on Halloween Day, which I did. It's a great read if you like Halloween, but it's not spooky or atmospheric at all. And then Lolita, I absolutely hated this book. I also did a very detailed review on Goodreads if you want to see it. Un Animal Salvaje by Joel Dicker. Always like Joel Dicker's books, but with this one I did not like it, which completely sucks. And then Housemaid is Watching, I did like it, thankfully. With Freya McFadden books, I don't really tend to like her books, but with the Housemaid series, I always like those books. So I don't know what's going on with her books, because I like that trilogy with the Housemaid, but I don't like her books, which is weird. I don't know. Okay, for horror, I have 2 books that I hated and one that it was okay. So I absolutely hated The Perfume by Patrick Susskind. I did a very in-depth review on my Goodreads. I always review every single book that I read on my Goodreads in case you're interested in reading it. I was extremely angry with the ending, The Vegetarian by Han Kang. I hated it. If this book was written by a man, I would have DNF'd it. But since it was written by a woman, I pushed through thinking it was going to get better. It didn't. So those were the 45 books that I read in 2020. 2024. So those are my statistics and every single book that I read in 2024. Hope you guys liked this video. I really wish and hope that I have more time to make videos in 2025 because I love making videos, especially bookish videos. Kind of difficult with a full-time job and not having much free time, but hopefully this year. And we'll see you very soon, hopefully. Bye!